So hi, welcome to the latest episode of the Gazelle podcast. Back here with Gary again and a very special guest today. Very pleased to be joined by Sabrina from SourcePay. Hi, how are you doing?
Hello.
Hi. Good to see you. I'm good. Thank you for joining us. So of course, plenty of questions today, lots to discuss. But before we get into you, your journey and SourcePay, of course, there's only really one place we can start today. So I'm going to hand over to Gary, who's going to talk about his impending tattoo.
Oh, I didn't realise we were going to start with that, to be fair, Gary. So, yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, why not?
So Sabrina, do you want to tell the story, or shall I, of how this came about?
Well, I'll tell it. So we obviously we went for a lunch, and obviously we used Gazelle to help us with our insurances and things like that overseas and in the UK as well. And over lunch, you mentioned to me about your charity fundraising that you were planning on getting a tattoo for, and then I'll let you take over the rest. Otherwise, I'm probably gonna put Gary in the shit. So
well, Gary's been blaming me for dropping him in it on this one.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said putting Gary in the shit, because effectively Gary sold my body like real estate.
Yeah.
So during the conversation, obviously we've been raising money now for Candlelight as our charity partner for a while. I've been talking about it for what seems like forever, thinking it's something that will happen in the future. Well, actually, when this podcast goes out, it will have happened. So by the time this podcast goes out in the next few days, across my arm will be a lovely new piece of artwork, specifically your logo. And the reason it's going to be your logo is because what we did say when we set this up originally was that when people donated to the charity, to the cause, that we could have, effectively 5 or 6 different choices that had been pre-approved. One of those was going to be my tattoo, unless somebody bid more than anybody else, and then in which case they get the chance to share. Now, I wasn't shouting about that, to be fair, because I thought at this point I'm pretty relaxed. I feel like I know what I'm going to get, and I'm pretty comfortable about getting that as a tiny little tattoo somewhere on my body. But no, Gary piped up during this.
Why would I not?
I think he'd had a beer or two, to be fair. Gary piped up that if you bid more than the £500 that had been bid by another business, that you could effectively have a piece of my body for your branding and marketing for the rest of my life. So that's right? So Gary pimped out a piece of my body.
An opportunity that I couldn't miss. So
no, and listen, and fair play to you for jumping on that opportunity and have been so generous to have bid a very, very significant amount for the charity, which meant I'm pleased to be getting the tattoo of your choice, and thinking that you might allow me to get away with something sensible. You decided not to, and I am going to have, what am I going to have on my arm?
You can have the SourcePay logo.
I'm going to have a SourcePay.
Well, look, our logo's our logo isn't, it could be a lot worse. It's just right. So
we did discuss some other options, didn't we? I'm not sure we can repeat, but
I know, I was about to say something there as well.
Anyway, so I'm delighted, and of course, people may have actually seen it on social media before this airs, because I believe you're sending someone from your team to come and video the event and take some pictures, so you can.
I wouldn't have missed it. Yeah. So I mean, obviously it was a bit of a drive for me, but Claire's round the corner, so Claire she'll be there holding your hand. Add video in your face.
And we need to make sure it's not just black marker, right? That he really gets this done.
Yeah, exactly. I need proof.
There'll be proof. There'll be blood and everything. Yeah, I'm pretty sure of it. So yeah, don't worry about it. So yeah, I felt bad enough about getting a tattoo anyway, but the thought for the rest of my life, I'm going to be wearing someone's brand effectively, like a cow in Texas or something.
Well, of course, here as well, you don't like needles, do you?
I'm shit scared of needles.
Yeah,
that's the
so
whole point
keep
of
an eye
it.
on the socials for videos of Gary fainting as he gets a tattoo.
Oh God, hopefully not.
Yeah,
hopefully not.
So anyway, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
That's tomorrow, but yeah, in sort of TV land, that's also last week, because I'll have had it done, and we'll get the pictures out there and everything. So, but listen, in all seriousness, really, really appreciate the charitable donation. We've managed to get up the ante to around about £3,000 now for my tattoo, and you've contributed a significant amount of that. So thank you for that, Sabrina. Shall we get off that horrible subject for a second and talk about you and your business?
Yeah. So Sabrina, for those who might not know, can you tell us a bit about your journey, kind of what led you to this point with the business?
Yeah, so it was a bit of a weird one, really. I actually I fell into payroll to start with. I started off in recruitment, decided that I wanted to take a different direction, got headhunted into an umbrella company, quite a well-known one, Parasol. I was there for about 5 years. Taught me a lot about compliance, how everything works. So it was a brilliant opportunity for me. And obviously since then been working my way up to different director positions within different umbrella companies, and the opportunity to set up on my own sort of fell on my lap. A much appreciated opportunity. So the company I was working for, the owner decided he wanted to retire, and he gave me the opportunity to buy the assets of the business, which was the contractor book. And so with that, he gave me the first opportunity, and I took it with both hands. So I needed a shell of another company to merge the two together, which is how obviously SourcePay came about. So SourcePay was a really small accountancy firm, and I merged the two together, and obviously built it to what it is today.
Yeah, fantastic. And did that feel like something you would always do? You mentioned that it kind of fell into your lap, but did it still feel like a natural progression?
It felt like a natural progression. I think especially when you're in sales, because I've been in sales my whole life. I've always sold payroll solutions. So for me, when you see how much you're making for other businesses, it obviously makes you want to do it on your own. And the reality of having it on your own is, I think everyone sort of thinks when they're setting up when you're doing it on your own, you're going to have all this free time and you're going to be your own boss and you'll be able to do what you want. But in actual fact, you don't have any time. Your employees boss you around, and you don't.
That's not right, is it, Gary?
Yep, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sabrina.
But no, it's do you know what? It's been amazing. It's been such a journey, and to get it to where it is today is massive for us, because like I said, it was very small. We had a dream for the business, and we got it to where I wanted to see it at. Obviously there's more plans for it going forward, but yeah, I'm very happy with where we're at the moment.
Yeah. So before we jump into the plans for global domination, it feels like, because we're obviously having some conversations about more international territories and exciting things there. So I think just we have a really broad audience for these podcasts. So we've got obviously a lot of people in the recruitment sector, payroll sector that we talk to, obviously, because we specialise in products in those areas, as you know. But we've got people outside of that. So just for their benefit, can you just tell us a little bit more about what SourcePay is and does on a daily basis?
Yeah, of course. So we're an EOR provider on an international scale, which means we're an employer of record. So we give agencies and clients the opportunity to be able to payroll workers overseas. Obviously, there's a lot of businesses and clients included that it's very expensive to run a business in the UK and employ people in the UK. So they do look to do that overseas, which gives them the opportunity to do that, but without having to open up an entity. We obviously deal with all of the compliance, the taxes, insurances, everything like that is covered. So all they need to worry about is finding their employees, or for recruitment agencies, finding the right worker. And again, this is what helps recruitment businesses as well. Obviously, everyone knows how saturated the market is in recruitment in the UK. More and more agencies are looking to expand and recruit overseas. And this just gives them the flexibility to be able to do that, and be able to do that without having to deal with compliance and regulations and keeping up with everything on their end. So we just take care of that in itself and let them do what they do best, really. And again, we do that for the UK as well. So we run obviously multiple payroll solutions in the UK. That includes obviously, construction, CIS, umbrella models, Euro. So we cover it all. And obviously compliance wise, we make sure that we're on the top end of that. So for me, I knew that when I was working at Parasol, it was a very compliant business. They were accredited, FCSA. Everything was very militant, and it taught me a lot about how to run a business in that way. And it's something that I wanted to implement with our business, and make sure that we're right on the top end of compliance, so that people can trust us and use us with confidence. So that was really important to me. So we've, I believe we're one of the most accredited providers in the UK. We are pending our regulation with the Financial Conduct Authority. We're about 8 months into that. It usually takes around 12 to 18 months. I'm hoping that we'll have that towards the end of next year. But when that comes in as well, again, we'll be the only provider in the UK that is actually regulated by the FCA. So yeah, really important for us I'm trying to do everything that we can to just go that extra mile, giving people that comfort, knowing that they're using someone who takes it seriously and is doing what they need to for the industry.
Yeah, and you mentioned the FCA authorization there. Of course, that's really important and quite unique in the industry, isn't it? So why is it that you've gone down that route?
So it was really important for us to, I think, obviously compliance in the umbrella space and in the payroll industry. There is ways you can prove your compliance, like being, having an FCSA accreditation, safe rec, professional passport. But I did want to go that next step further. And what that FCA regulation allowed us to do, even though it's pending, it's allowed us to open up a client account with NatWest. Yeah. So that client account is super important. And the reason why I wanted to open that is so that clients can feel comfortable with sending their funds across to us, because every business owner knows that no matter whether you're using the largest payroll company in the world or the smallest, you're always putting your money at risk when you're sending it to a third party. And I wanted to just remove that risk from our clients. So putting that money or those funds into a client account, it's a fully segregated account. It's fully insured. It's insurance backed. It allows you to have those funds protected and retrieve them back at any time, right up until the point it reaches your contractor's bank account. So it's just eliminating any doubt in anyone's mind, and anything, if anything were to happen to us as a business, hopefully not, but if anything did, they wouldn't need to worry. So they'd always be able to receive those funds. So yeah, that's why it was really important to me to get it.
Yeah, and it's really topical, isn't it? Because with the changes coming next April, it's never been more important that people have that protection in place.
Yeah, definitely. So there's a lot of talk at the moment about the finance bill coming out in April, and I think it'll be a massive shock to the industry when it does come in, because everyone will be looking at who they're using. How can we providers will now need to prove their compliance, which is great for us, because sometimes in the industry it's actually really difficult to compete with non-compliant payroll providers when they're offering these inflated rebates, and they're making their money in all different sorts of ways. So it's really difficult to compete with that when you're trying to do things properly. So I'm hoping that this will really regulate the industry and make things but it will make things a lot more transparent and better for the years to come.
Yeah, I think we know all about the FCA and regulation, that we've watched it come into our industry so much more in the last sort of 10, 20 years. 30 years now that I've worked in this industry, Jesus. And that's changed. And actually, yeah, there's some growing pains with that kind of thing. When you hear about regulation, you hear about, change, it sometimes feels uncomfortable. But if you're the kind of business that is in front of that is trying to de-risk, this sort of the process for your clients and those people that rely on you, then that should put you at the forefront. And I think you've got to treat these things, to my regard, like it's all, it is a positive thing. Sorry. So changing regulation, no one really wants to go through those kind of things, and we've heard a lot of challenge from different people on our podcast recently that have talked about the bill. But it seems to me like, you know, you're either forward thinking or you've got a crystal ball or something there that's, you know, decided that you were going to get ahead of that.
Yeah, I think I knew what was happening in the industry. I think where we also hold a GLAA license, which is quite rare in the industry, and that, you know, that's that they're run by the Home Office, and for us, we've got very good connections there where we can actually have real conversations about what the future looks like. And I think I could see the direction that the industry was going in, and it was really important for me to try and safeguard that, but also I felt like it was a great opportunity for us to offer something different. I mean, it's so, you know, the payroll industry is so easy to just be the same as everyone else. And it was really important for me that we had different things in place that really just set us apart from others in the industry.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier about so that's kind of the UK. You mentioned earlier about the kind of international payroll side of things. Am I right in thinking you can now do this in 159 countries?
Yeah, so we it's been a journey. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I feel like I still get anxiety when people ask me that question because it's it hasn't been easy. I mean, dealing with when you're opening up entities overseas, you know, most of the time you have to go over there. You have to, you know, you have to understand the regulations to be able to do this and do it properly. So, you know, getting the licenses and you know, opening up the bank account, speaking to multiple different accountants, it's yeah, it's a big job. And do you know what, I'm so glad that we did it because it's such a huge selling point for us as a business. And like I said, being able to offer that to our clients is huge, and it's always been something that I wanted to do because I believe that, like I said, the industry is going that way. More and more people are looking to employ overseas, and it's a great addition to the business. It's for someone to be able to do that in terms of let's say a recruitment agency that wants to hire overseas, and they wanted to open up the entities and do it all themselves. The only thing I'll say is it's a job in itself. So so unless, I mean, some people may want to tackle it, but yeah, I mean, countries like Germany, Netherlands, it's it's definitely not an easy process. You know, AUG licenses and things like that you need to get to make sure you're running things compliantly. And plus you've got the changes in regulations, which are obviously constantly changing across the globe. So it's just staying ahead of that. But obviously we automate everything. Our processes are really streamlined. So, you know, we're alerted and we know as soon as anything changes, then we can just implement that accordingly. So yeah, so tech has helped a lot. But at the beginning, when we were starting out, you don't know too much about the tech and how it all works. So but yeah, I'm really glad that we're at a point now where we can actually utilize that to our advantage.
And I imagine, I imagine that one of the big challenges is, so in the UK we talk about IR35 a lot, and then you go into other countries and people complain about it, but in every country really you've got your own version, haven't you? And just making sure that if you're going to Germany or the Netherlands or wherever it might be, you've got a whole new set of rules to comply with.
Yeah, exactly. So IR35 was obviously big in the UK, still is. When they tightened up the restrictions on that, things changed and shifted massively in the industry. Now it's becoming increasingly tighter across Europe. Which obviously is making things a lot. I mean, usually recruiters would hire self-employed contractors, pay them their gross through their own companies directly. There's a lot of due diligence that needs to be done there, and I think that probably was getting missed quite a lot. And then you also have to look at the fact that the regulations have changed now, so there is even more due diligence that you need to do, and people are getting stung with misclassification penalties. And now the safest option is to go through an employer of record and run it as an employed solution, but it comes at a cost, and it's something that not everyone wants to pay for. So it's like you're trying to balance between doing the right thing and obviously paying a lot more than what you usually would. So, and but I think, like I said, it's really regulating. All these changes are regulating the industry, which is good, because it's hard for recruitment agencies to compete with other recruitment agencies that aren't doing things right. Sometimes recruitment agencies, if they don't see longevity in the business, they're not fussed about if they're doing things the right way or not. They just, they're getting things through the door. So for recruitment agencies that are doing the right thing, it's really difficult for them to compete with others as well. So yeah, I'm hoping that obviously with the changes that this will help regulate everything. But obviously Brexit hasn't helped, especially with UK nationals wanting to go overseas. There's a whole new process now about visas, and so it's making the process even more costly and even more time consuming. So yeah, there's a lot to think about.
Yeah, we often get into politics on this show, and it's like probably time to avoid it. But so as I feel like now's a perfect time, as what is going to be effectively a walking billboard for your business for the next, hopefully, 40 years or so. Maybe less, a wrinkly billboard for a lot of those years potentially. But I think that, I guess, an opportunity really to what we love to do at Gazelle is kind of partner with people and sort of plug the services that they provide and try and connect people to one another. And just going back to something you talked about, Sabrina, about, recruiters now, as we see this as a trend, right? It's a massive trend. We're dealing with more and more recruiters who've got more and more international placement going on. And what you've got there is a solution. So I guess, what we'll do is we'll make sure through this that we do, put a link out to be able to contact you guys for the recruiters that are listening to this in our space, thinking, well, we want to do some more stuff internationally, but like you say, that effort involved in going away and doing that yourself is just right. You've been through it, right? So why would somebody else want to go and do it themselves, for perhaps dipping a toe in the water in one of these different territories? So a little bit of a plug for you, I think, there. But I guess that's what you want to hear from, right? Recruiters and people that are in that space, that are thinking about going into these different territories that you're already working in, and being able to access experts.
Yeah. Did you ask me a question there?
Not really, no. Not really. It was more of a plug than anything else. But it's...
Yes, you are correct, Gary. That is exactly it.
You're wanting to hear from those recruiters, and we plug in you, and those recruiters obviously can contact. Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, right. I'm going to ask you a question now. So we're going to turn it around a little bit. We talked about source, but talked about the global stuff. So, as a business that is expanding ourselves and growing arms and legs and getting involved in different solutions and territories and things, I know what those sort of growing pains are like in terms of the team and the culture and being able to to build your business. Tell us a little bit about your journey with from the start of SourcePay to where you are, or the start of you picking up SourcePay to where you are now. How have you been able to build you must have a high-performing team. It can't just be yourself, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't work. So what's that been like in terms of, motivating and bringing people along that journey with you?
So the team that we have are absolutely amazing. I think one of the things that I've learned as a business owner is that you can't, I think everyone sort of suffers from this when they own a business. It's like, I heard about this the other day. It's called founder syndrome, where you just feel like you need to do absolutely everything and you just can't let go and let people do their job. So at the beginning, we started off with a team of 12 initially, just straight off the bat. So, and I'd managed teams before, but not when it was my own business. And I think it's very different when it is your own business, because you are you're wearing a million different hats. You're trying to do everything and anything. And yeah, I found it really difficult to just let go and let people do their jobs. So trying to find that balance, obviously, between being the boss and also being someone that they feel like they can talk to, and being a safe space where they feel like they can give you ideas and advice or concerns about anything that they have. So for me, managing people is probably one of the hardest things that I had to learn how to do. And then I think obviously after I finally started to realize, and I got a lot of advice on it, on how to approach it. But I think once you finally let go and you let your team make their own mistakes, you ask them what they, when they ask me for advice, I go, well, what would you do in that situation, just so I can see. And I think it's really important that I kind of I let them do what they need to do. And now they are absolutely amazing. I mean, I cannot fault any of them. They are amazing at what they do. They know their industry inside out. And it just shows through customer experience and testimonials and things like that. It's shaped them into amazing employees and members of the team. And it's I think letting go is one of the most important things that I could have learned.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that, and I get the founder syndrome thing, massively, and I think it is a challenge. And one of the important things is having people around you that you can go to or support. I mean, and also having, sometimes it's very difficult, especially in those first few years, to kind of step away from it. It lives with you 24 hours a day, doesn't it? It's in your head all the time. So how have you found that? And I mean, are you in a place now where you would you say you've got a work-life balance? I mean, I see pictures of you abroad and whatever else, but it's with your laptop out and things like that on LinkedIn. So have you got that sort of balance, and have you got the right kind of support mechanism around you to be able, I'm probably asking for advice here really, but what does that look like for you?
You know what? I still think I struggle with switching off, and I think that's something that's a long, I think that's a battle that everyone who owns a business has. I think more than anything, I dread missing a day and then having a million emails to catch up on the next day. That for me is like, I'd rather just get it done on holiday and not need to worry about it. But no, I think it is super important that everyone takes that time out, because no, I'm no use to anyone if I'm completely burnt out. And I think I realize, and I can see myself when I get to that point. And when I do, that is when I say to myself, right, okay, you actually need to just take a couple of days to just reset, because it's 24/7, and sometimes you do need that to perform at your best. And I think it's, at the beginning, I completely didn't understand that, and just thought I had to be in it all the time, every day. So I think it's now just realizing when I've got to that point, and then being able to just step back and go, right, okay, I need to just let my emails build up for a few days.
Yeah, totally get that. So just you mentioned before, Sabrina, around I mean, I probably couldn't name 159 countries if I tried. I think there's, you guys have built and developed into a real leader in your space, but there's more exciting things to come. What's next? What does the next sort of 3, 4, 5 years look like for SourcePay?
We've got a lot of exciting things happening, and I think for us, there's so much that we want to do with the business to make, especially with the different tech that's coming in. We want to make sure that everything is so automated that it's just so easy for contractors and clients to work with us. One of our projects that we're working on is getting a multilingual onboarding team, so everyone can actually onboard with us in their native language, which is super important for me and for the business, I think, moving forward. But yeah, like I said, we're just always trying to find ways where we can reduce the risk for our clients. We can give that still personable experience. I think that's where a lot of it is sometimes lost. When you grow to a certain point, you lose that personal aspect with your clients and your candidates, which is something we never want to lose. So I think just making sure that we're growing, but keeping that level of a human feel to the business, where you can feel like they can come to us directly, is super important as well. But yeah, we want to expand to more countries. There's more tech that we want to build internally, apps and things like that. So there's a lot to come, just in time.
Fantastic.
So just talking about tech for a sec, we asked this question of pretty much everyone, because again, we're intrigued. How much does AI play a part in your business and your future? Are you guys adopting that right now? Are you using it in any small or big way? I mean, I read a study the other day that like half the workforce out there are trying to either cheat at their job and do things, or they've been, you know, asked to adopt it in some way, shape or form, and that's just in my own team. But no, does it play a role yet in your business, or do you see it playing you know, more of a role in your business and industry? And does that take away from the human element in any way, do you think?
I think I don't think it'll ever replace it, because I think people always need, especially in our industry, I think everyone needs to be able to speak to a human being, but using it to our advantage is really important. So for instance, we are implementing, or we've just launched our chatbot on our website, which is also, you can actually talk to it, and it knows everything about SourcePay. It knows everything about our business. You know, it'd be able to advise if it's something that they can't deal with, and it's something that one of our team will need to call them back on. But it just it's a smarter way to automate the process, because sometimes it is really simple, like where do I find my pay slips on my portal, or something that, you know, someone could just tell, that, you know, the AI bot could tell them straight away. And sometimes they'd much rather that than have to go through you know, and call up and say it over the phone. So I think it's making sure that we're utilizing it in the right way, and not I don't think it'll ever be a case where it takes over, it will take over, but I think we need to just make sure that we're implementing it, definitely.
Okay, fantastic. Right, we'll wrap up there, but anything you want to say before we go? Anything you want to say to Gary before his tattoo?
Gary, I just want to say how much I appreciate you having this done. I mean, I quite honestly, I mean, we donated. We would have donated anyway, but I didn't actually expect you to do it. I'll be honest. I thought you'd say it, and I'd donate, and you'd just go, oh, do you know what? Someone else has donated, so we're actually going to get the Gazelle logo on our arm. I think that's actually what I thought you did. But you're actually going through with it, so hats off to you. Take it from someone who is covered in tattoos. It's not that bad. I would take a couple of painkillers before you go in.
Right, okay.
And make sure you have your breakfast.
All right, okay. Good advice. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously I'm not looking forward to the tattoo, but I am looking forward to being connected to your business for the rest of my life. And if you do plan on changing the brand at any point, I'm telling you now that I won't be replacing it. It's staying as
you are now stuck in that logo
as it is. So that's the logo that'll live, and it's going to be a pub conversation forever. I mean, I should probably put your email address or something on there as well, shouldn't I? There we go. Yeah. And if you get any more countries, I'm not going to name every single country and territory on there, otherwise it'll be a whole sleeve. But now listen, we were always going to go through with it. I think once Gary committed me to doing this is something that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life, and Gary's going to remember for the rest of his life. Because every time he pisses me off, I'm going to point to this tattoo on my arm, and we're going to have a serious conversation. But no, look, it's for a great charity, it's for a great cause. It's kind of my thing. It was either that or run a marathon, and there's no chance I was going to do that. So but Gary is running a marathon. In fact, Gary's going to run an ultra marathon next year to get back to support the charity. But no, listen, it'll be nice to link to what is a great business, and one that clearly is going places. So, you know, if you're some sort of tin pot back alley business, maybe I'd feel like it was a bit more of a painful process to go through, having a rubbish business attached to my body for the rest of my life. But thank God you're going places, right?
Hey, there you go. I don't think you understand how excited I am for this. Like, I cannot wait to see it. Are you getting it in, is it going to be in colour, or is it black and white?
No, it's going to be in colour. Yeah, the logo that you sent me, right? So the artist has got it all sort of stenciled up and ready. So tomorrow morning or last week for the podcast, it is literally the logo that you've sent me. And we were talking about size, and he says, well, I can't make it too small because it won't really work. So it's going to be a reasonable size as well. So just to make the font work and the colours, and so it doesn't run and everything, it's going to be a reasonable size colour tattoo. It's going to be something that I imagine is going to be on your marketing for quite some time. So there we go. Our businesses are linked. We obviously can't fall out. We must do all your insurances forever and stay friends, because otherwise that's going to hurt even more.
Maybe I'll do a fundraising to get your logo on mine.
Well, there we go. Yeah.
You heard that here first, guys. So listen, I look forward to seeing you very soon, where I can show you can have a picture taken with my arm with a beer in it, hopefully, that you're going to buy me for this exercise. So Sabrina, brilliant to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
Ever so much for appearing on our podcast. Really exciting time for you and your business. You've been a great guest. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you both. It's been lovely. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
great stuff.
Thank
To
you.
our audience, we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.